Welcome to the Girl Out of Order podcast. My coach, Tony Robbins, master coach, Besa Martini.
Hello, hello, Christine. I'm so grateful and happy to be here.
I am pinching myself. I think I told you right before we got on that I was actually a little bit nervous. And it's nervous, you've taught me over the years, is actually excitement. So I am welcoming the excitement of having my coach on my podcast. And I'll tell you the primary reason is because you, my dear, have impacted my life so profoundly since we met. And gosh, was it end of 2021?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So we are actually coming up on our 4-year anniversary of coaching. And I think I've told you that you couldn't shake me if you tried.
Well, it has been such an honor to be in this journey with you, coming from the bottom of my heart. So I do not take this space, this honor space lightly. So thank you, thank you. It's wonderful to see you shine and own who you are and deliver what you are delivering for women all over the world. So
Well, that means the
yeah.
world to me, and I owe a lot to you. So I don't know who I'm speaking to out in the universe, but I know there's a woman out there who knows in her heart that coach is in her future. And I'm just telling you, after today, when you get to know this incredible human being and you see the impact that she's had on me, you're going to do a little bit more investigation and taking some action, as my coach likes to say. So before we got into, I've got so much meat I want to dive into, but I want to take a moment for you, Bessa, to be able to introduce yourself to the world. What I love about you, oh gosh, I shouldn't say that. There's so much I love about you, but one of the things I love about you is you just exude this quiet grace and humility, and you're so often behind the scenes. And I'm excited to spotlight you. So if you were to have an opportunity to introduce yourself to the world, which by the way, you do right now, who do you say you are?
Well, I was thinking about obviously about this podcast because I was excited to be here too. And I know that you have audience all over the world. So I'm like, oh, this is super awesome for me to show up because if you're asking me who am I, I've had so many per se roles, meaning I was this little girl in North Albania, the middle of nowhere, otherwise known as. And then I ultimately then I moved to Germany. I see a completely different way of living. I'm a mom of three. I'm a coach. I'm a friend. I'm a lover. I'm ultimately in this journey to find my destiny. And I'm honored and I'm so lucky to be in this space where I have dreamers just like myself chasing and creating their own destiny. And it's not like literally a chase to catch something, but it is more like you become this curious creature of what is possible. What is possible? Because if it's possible for me, it's possible for literally everyone.
I love that so much. And I want to highlight something that you said at the beginning of your answer, which was you grew up a little girl in, you said North Albania.
Yes.
And do you remember when we first started coaching? I was like, girl, I'm not sure what you're saying. I hear the words, but it's not translating in my little Midwestern mind. Do you remember that?
Oh, I totally remember that. I totally remember that. And here's the cool thing. You remember how I answered? I'm like, well, my accent will keep each other in tippy toes.
Yes,
And we had a good laughter about it.
we did. And I say that for my international audience because in particular I know that there's a contingent in Germany. So it's interesting you'd mentioned that downloads the podcast frequently. And I just want to say that this community, this Girl Out of Order community is a global community. We have had listeners from every continent except Antarctica. I don't even know if people live there. So, but it's so beautiful because what could be a barrier to our connection, like I think there was this time in my life I may have shied away from entering into such a vulnerable and connected relationship with somebody who's so different than me. But you're right. I really do sometimes feel myself leaning in more because I'm like, I gotta listen real hard to make sure I know, because I don't want to miss a single wisdom bomb you drop.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, what an indicator, though, for everyone who is listening, that sometimes we could create these stories for the accent, which I also did in the past,
Mm,
and held myself back around it, around the story I have an accent, around the story I'm an immigrant, around the story, but what else, like, what can I offer possibly? And
yes.
once we take our time to look at the stories, whether you are in Tibet or Albania or Germany or China or wherever the listener is, once you get the chance to look at the story and say, okay, I'm telling this story, whether it's about accent or something else, is that story empowering me? Is that empowering my identity? Or is that weakening me?
100%, 100%. And obviously, you and I, we've worked on stories over the last 4 years and have a giant poster that I can see right there. What is the story that I'm telling myself? And then what is the story that's true, or the story that I'm writing? I'm probably not saying it nearly as eloquently as you, but the stories that we as women allow to rule our minds and our hearts and our spirits truly do dictate the lives that we live, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you came as from Albania to Germany. You came as an immigrant to America. When did that happen?
So that was 23 years ago.
23
Accent is
years.
still with me, but 23 years ago.
I don't want you to
Yeah.
lose it. I think it makes you so unique, and honestly, it draws people, in my opinion. I mean, I am one of your biggest fans, as you know. So
Same here.
we don't want to lose the roots, but we want to build the life.
Yeah.
And so you come here 23 years ago, and as if anyone's watching this on YouTube, and you should be, you're going to see that Bessa's background says Tony Robbins results coaching. Like, that's not her being a participant, that's her being the master coach. I could not say that enough times because I'm so proud of you. But you didn't come from Albania through Germany and then land as a Tony Robbins master coach. Tell us a little bit about your journey. What did you do when you got here? And then how did you find yourself sitting in this really influential, beautiful place of contribution in Tony Robbins' organization?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that question because honestly, I could say probably for many immigrants that I know, you come from back home, wherever home is, and you come with a lot of stories. We all have our stories,
Mhm.
and we come with a lot of limitations too.
Mhm.
And it was in the moment where I questioned my limited stories that even if you are wherever you are and you say, but my story is different. I'm in Tibet, my story is different.
Mhm.
I challenge you because I do remember myself as a kid looking through my window in my little town in North Albania and wondering how life could be. And not in my wildest dream could I have imagined that this year, in this time in my life, having 3 kids, I create this life. I dare to design my life because I thought I'm in a box. I thought I'm in a box of being
Mhm.
a female. I'm in a box of being from North. I'm in a box of having an accent. I'm in a box of not having being born in America or wherever the country is. And when you start to question the story, wherever you are, if you start to question, could that be possible for me? Even if you
Mhm.
don't believe in your compelling future, because, 15 years ago, someone had told me, you're going to be Tony Robbins coach. I'd have said, you're kidding me. So it started from just questioning, could that be possible, to actually daring to believe in yourself, to actually daring to show up and step up and do things that are uncomfortable, getting comfortable doing uncomfortable things, just like this podcast, right? Like you
Mhm.
said, I'm used with big headphones trying to listen and grab every word of the client and supporting behind the scene. This is uncomfortable. And yet I understand that in there was time in my life when I listened to podcasts, when I listened to other women in my life that I go, wow, I want to have that identity. Probably I didn't want to be like her, but there were pieces of her, kind of
Mm.
role model that I loved. And based on that, we start to, how I said, I'm this journey of getting to know my destiny because we find these role models and we dare to mess up. I'm trying to select my words.
Mhm. Yeah, it's okay
We
to
dare
swear a little bit on my podcast too. I'm just saying.
Well, then we need to dare to suck in the beginning. We
Yeah.
need to dare to allow ourselves what is possible. And when we do that, we start to discover this new identity of ourselves that we choose to create.
100%. Okay, so and it's so funny that you'd bring that up because just this morning when we were in our coaching session, I said, "Oh, I'm just so afraid to fail." And you're like, "Please fail. That's how you learn." And I was like, "Oh, even after, 3.5, almost 4 years of coaching with you, like it's very easy for us as a human beings to lapse into our old stories or to listen to my favorite phrase, which I've used in workshops, I've used in podcasts, I've used in things I've written, listening to the shitty committee. That was your original. I'm sure somebody else said it, but I'm giving you all the credit. But you're,
Please do.
oh yes, oh you, Besta. But when you think about it, like going back to this immigrant girl, you could, and you talked about your stories, you could have literally put in, if you look, think of a boardroom and a big table, and each chair would be filled with another member of your shitty committee if you'd allow it, right? You're
Yeah.
an immigrant, you're a woman, you have an accent. I mean, it would be so easy for you to listen to that committee, and yet there was something in you, Bessa, that said, not going to be the life I live. I am not going to accept that. I'm going to rise. Can you think of a time, a point? Was there a point in time where, when Tony Robbins talks about when we get to the point of saturation, where we say, not another day, not another hour, not another minute, I'm done? Can you think of a time where maybe those old stories, that shitty committee was speaking loudly, and you just said, that's it, I'm going a different direction?
Oof, I did not expect this question.
Oh, but that's how I
Well,
roll. And it's okay if
this
it's not a
is,
point in time. It may not have been like a moment,
yeah, it
but
was
was there a
actually a moment.
season?
It was actually a moment. I remember working, you know me, that I used to work in medical field. And there was a moment when a patient just realized that she has breast cancer.
Mm,
And the doctor just shared the news with her. It's
mm,
confirmed breast cancer. And she was devastated. She was devastated and she was like bawling and really in pain as it is normal to react in moments like that. And I remember in that second thinking, what if I had the breast cancer? And I go, no big deal. What's so much of a big deal? And then I realized, wow, how could I value my life so little that I
mm,
think it's not a big deal having breast cancer? And in that moment, I decided I have to change. I have no idea how, but things have to change. And in
mm,
that moment, you know how Tony says our destiny is shaped in the moment of decisions?
mm-hmm,
In that moment when I decided, I know this is not what I want. I didn't know how. And it's always going back to we think that we need to know how to do podcasts and we need to do how to do speaking engagements as you do. We need to know how. And once I know how, I'll make it happen. And you know very well that's not the case. You
mm-hmm,
showed up, you delivered, you crafted yourself over and over and over and over. And
mm-hmm,
you mentioned before that, hey, sometimes we notice this, oh my God, I'm going to fail, which is very normal for the overachievers. We look at this big destination and it's so easy to say, "Oh, but look at the gap that I have." And we completely miss
mm-hmm,
the progress. But once we notice, oh wow, I am exactly in this moment. This is not where I want to be anymore. And once we start to gather, what is the progress? What is the gain? What is the gain? And having a clear target, that's where the life start to change. So honestly, it was in that moment when I realized, how could I not think it's no big deal if I had it, that I decided, okay, things have to change.
So how'd they
And then
change?
I,
I'm dying here. So you said things have to change. So then, for speaking for that woman who feels that things have to change, but I don't know what to do. What did you do? Because I know you're a woman of action. So if things had to change because you couldn't keep living this way, what did you do?
so once I decided things have to change, honestly, I was clueless. And this is more for the audience because, in the beginning, I'm like, okay, what are my superpowers? What are my superpowers? Okay, I had to look at what are your strengths, right? And working in medical field, I'm like, well, my superpowers is actually connecting with clients. What else are my superpowers? Well, I really like to support them, to listen to their problems, to support them. It's like, how can I help? What is the problem? What is the problem that I could fix? So how
Hmm.
can I use these superpowers to add value? And for me, I thought, well, I could be a health coach, which will help the clients not to come to emergency room. And I actually did health coaching for quite some years, and I worked for physician committee for responsible medicine. So I was one of their instructors, which was great and fine. And as I was in that journey, though, I realized there is this piece missing, that it's not allowing me to go where I want. And the piece that I was missing was 80% psychology and 20% strategy. I was fully focused on strategy, on the how, and I
Mm.
missed the 80%. Once I realized that, it led me to Tony Robbins, which I have this conversation with the clients as well. Please dare to suck and make mistakes. Dare to go in a direction that might not be a direction, which for me was health coaching. But once you are there, a vehicle that is moving is way easier to direct the wheel versus if you
Right.
stagnant. So even if you do a wrong direction, for me it was health coaching, and I can't even say wrong, but it was part of the path. It
Hmm.
was easy for me to adjust and say, okay, now it's life coaching. Oh, now I could be a business result trainer, which is part of what I do with Tony Robbins, company as well. But it's not because it was a straight line, and it's never a straight line. It is really daring to see, but if I could do something, what could it be? If there
Hmm.
is one action that I could do, what could it be? It could start from reading a book. It could start from listening to a podcast and get ideas from someone else and getting
Like this
inspired,
one.
like this one. But do something to go toward the direction that you think is the right direction.
I love that so, so much because what you're saying is so relatable because you didn't say, oh, well, I spent $10,000 and hired this coach. I spent $50,000 and I joined this mastermind. Like you're not, and I don't mean to just tie money to it, but you're not just saying, oh, I did this, then this. Because that I think is so unrealistic when we talk about the trajectory of growth. And one of the things that is so helpful for me as your client is you do such an amazing job with visuals because I can listen, but I'm not an auditory learner. I'm a visual learner, Bessa. And I don't know if I'm thinking of a particular graphic, but the graphic that comes to mind is just this growth trajectory. It's not like whoop, and go straight up. No, it's up, down, up, down, up, down. But overall, you're going in the direction of what you're setting your sights on. And so you talking about like your journey from the medical field to becoming let me say it again, master coach. So proud. Is that you didn't have to figure it all out. You didn't say, all right, I will take action when I understand all the steps. And I know that that's been an interesting challenge for us in our coaching because I'm so cerebral when it comes to wanting to focus on the how, and it's not the starting point. So many of us have think we have to have it figured out how to do it. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. That we forget about, you got to understand the why. You've got to know why you want whatever the goal is. And it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that even though you didn't know all the steps to take, you had an outcome that could, is it fair to say you had certainty about, at least certainty around that outcome?
Yeah, certainty is the goal to have the certainty. Absolutely, it's certainty. But in the beginning, it's okay not to have certainty. Because if we're stepping outside of comfort zone, you have no evidence for your success.
Mm,
You had no evidence that women all over the world are going to listen to your podcast. There was no evidence. This was
right.
new territory. It's because you took action. It's because you stepped outside of comfort zone. It's about the fact that you learned new skills. You failed at sometimes. Sometimes the recordings didn't go through. Sometimes they do. It's because of these steps that you crafted your work. And I'm sure Christina 5 years from now will look back and go, wow, look at me. Look at that version of me 5 years ago and look at this version of Christine where I am.
Hmm.
And it makes a huge difference just because you dare to get outside of comfort zone. The certainty will come after. People think, let me be sure about something and then I'll take
Mm,
action. And it's
right.
actually exactly the opposite. It is because you take action that you gain certainty.
Okay, so I think I said it wrong. So maybe not wrong. I think I said it a little bit inaccurately, but I want you to repeat that last thing that you said regarding certainty in action. Say that one more time.
So we believe I need to be certain about something. And once I know that I'm this great podcaster, I'm this great coach, I'm going to crush it, then I'm going to go and get some clients or I'm going to go and create the podcast. And it's exactly the opposite. It is because we take action then that we ultimately have the certainty. And we've spoken together about you, Christine, being in court. And
Hmm.
we've spoken how you are not scared or worried or a lack of certainty doesn't exist in the court. How so? Because you've delivered, you have evidence,
Mm.
years and years and years and years helping clients with all kind of challenges. So that is your comfort zone. There is no reason. But probably that certainty was not the same level the first day you walked in that courtroom.
Not at
I
all.
remember I remember for myself the first client. I'm not going to say the name, but I'll never forget her name. The first client as Tony Robbins coach. And I did coach before, but now I was representing number one coach in the world. I was profusely sweating. I was like, okay, oh my God, if she knew. Of course, we had the training. Of course, I had earned that spot. And yet, my inner voice, the shitty committee, as we say, had a word or two. So I hadn't taken enough action to have this
Mm.
certainty. But right now, of course, I could show up with absolutely certainty that no matter who it is, I will support because I have the best tool from the best coach in the world. So
And you also have
logically,
the history. You also have the history and the evidence, like you said. So let me ask it a little bit different way then. Because I think about, and I would love you to explain your manifestation. I know we call it the triad, but not getting into too much of the triad teaching because that word is probably it would take us a whole episode to describe that. But you created an identity for yourself long before you had evidence that you were going to be that. And so help help the listeners and me tease out so you're not certain, but yet you're creating an identity that you're then moving towards. So if that's not certainty, how would you describe that? And maybe I'm not asking it clearly, but I know you know where I'm going.
yeah, no, it's absolutely clear. So we all doing a triad, and I'm using the word triad just for the sake of we are in the same language. Every time, every moment we're creating a triad. And for listeners, what that really means is whether we're watching TV or watching kids playing soccer or walking with our partner in the park, no matter what we do, there's a combination of our physiology, Where are we focusing on? And what language we are using.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go back to one moment, and listeners could do the same thing, think of a moment where you felt like you didn't show up as the best version of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
where probably you pointed a finger or you raised your voice, or look back how your body was feeling. There was a certain posture in your body, probably shoulders down or really aggressive or mad or with a finger pointing. There was a focus of looking what is wrong with the situation, probably blaming and shaming someone even without having all the evidence, and then using a language that later on you're not proud of.
Mm-hmm.
That is one triad, and it's a choice. And then we have another triad when we decide to show up differently, when we decide to focus on what is serving us, when we are using a language that is respectful toward ourselves and others, whether that's I can do it, this is possible,
Mm-hmm.
I've done it before, this is just another step. All I need with it is within me, as Tony says.
Mm-hmm.
What are these body posture and focus and belief and language that you are using? Because as we do this combination of three, we are constantly recreating. We are recreating who we are, how we are showing up, and it's a moment to moment choice.
Okay, so I want to flesh it out and summarize a little bit because I do think your accent when you say triad can be a little bit hard to understand. So I want to just for the listener say she's saying triad. We have to laugh a little bit, right? But seriously, though, the triad can be a little bit confusing. And so I just want to briefly summarize it. If you're not in the Tony Robbins world, then maybe this is a new concept, but it boils down to physiology, how you physically show up. What are you choosing to focus on? And what are the words that you are using surrounding whatever situation or issue it is? So, physiology, focus, and language. That's the three-part triad. So, when you created your master coach triad, is it fair to say that you created an identity for yourself long before you actually were close to being that?
Absolutely. It literally was way before it actually happened. And the way how I took my time is like, well, if I am a master coach, who do I need to be? How do I need
Mhm.
to what my beliefs need to be? What do I need to believe about myself or my abilities? How is my physiology? What are the words that I'm telling myself? And I actually wrote it down. I had this, I put the visual of Wonder Woman.
See it.
I wrote it and rewrote it. And
Mhm.
who am I for the clients? How am I going to show up? What does it mean for me and them? How are we bonding? I created this whole image of who that version is. And honestly, I remember the day when director, reported to me, it was telling me uh, about becoming master coach, I was like, yeah, not because it came from a place of, oh, I deserve it, but it was more than, yeah, I know, I've been there for a while. It's just the name being changed, but I physically and mentally was there because I was showing up. In the chat with my mastermind group, I wrote down master coach, and they knew I'm not a master coach, but I was telling them this is the image, this is the version that I'm working, this is what I'm working to before I even got there. So
Yeah.
there to create this image, this physiology, this belief and focus and language that serves you for the person who you want to become. Who is that identity? Even name it. What
Mhm.
is the name of this new identity? And it could change, right? It could
Right.
change identity, and as you change, the identity changes, your goals changes,
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes this adventure after all.
I love that. And I think, for maybe some non-Tony people listening, that's really the essence of manifestation. It's the essence of putting out into the universe and into the quantum field, like the energy of what it is you want and who it is you want to be. It it doesn't mean that you don't have certainty about that vision, but it just means that you are creating a life that you're working towards. So just circling back to our question about certainty, it's not that you don't have, you know, I know the word certainty can get us hung up a little bit about that, but it's not like you have to know that you know that you know that everything you're writing has to happen in order for you to take action. But wouldn't you say that creating that vision, manifesting that goal in such a way actually spurs action, actually like
Oh,
inspires you to take those steps, even when you're not 100% sure of all the details?
yeah, I absolutely agree. Because once you create this physiology, focus, and belief and language, you start to believe it. And automatically, even the body responds differently. You catch
Mhm.
opportunities that you wouldn't catch if you didn't create a vision. It's the same thing as if I tell the listeners now, close your eyes for a second
Mhm.
and bite on a piece of lemon and suck that juice out. I don't know about you guys, but I salivated. There is no freaking lemon. We all know that. It's silly. But the brain and the body gets ready. Oh yeah, lemon, that's sour. So when we creating this identity, it's like preparing your body and your mind and your feeling that yes, when your opportunity comes, you're gonna take action
Yeah.
and you will step up. You will see the opportunity that you wouldn't have seen if that was not your laser focus. And
Yes.
for that reason, you start to manifest things because you're taking action because you believe that it's possible.
I love that. And we all know that our brains don't know the difference between what's real and what we tell it.
Yes.
And that goes back to the whole, the triad, as Tony teaches. And I think you and I know I have my own little version of it called the infinite state shift, which is just a little bit more flowy, feminine version of that, where it's, what is the energy you're embodying? How are you speaking about things? And what are you choosing to put your focus on? And, every single day, Bessa, we have a choice of what are we going to focus on? What are the words that are going to come out of our mouths? And how are we going to care for our vessel in each situation? And I will say that working on that with you over the years has been the most transformative, foundational piece of my growth. Because when I look back, oh my gosh, when I look back to December 2021, Christine, I love her. I'm so
Yes.
grateful for
Me
her,
too.
but she's so foreign to me now. And I would say that, when you're working with a coach who gets you and who is willing, I'm going to get emotional, who's willing to lean in and not run away. Because I don't know if you remember me telling you this early on in our coaching. I was all into the Enneagram then. Remember, I was like, I'm an Enneagram 8. Most people just kind of run the other way. And you were just fired up. You're like, yes, let's go. And I want you to speak right now to the very strong woman, to that Enneagram 8 or the Dynamo disc profile woman, that woman who feels that she's struggling with her story, that she's heard her whole damn life, that she's just too freaking much. And it won't matter what she does, she will still never be enough. That tension that really strong woman lives in. Speak to her right now. What would you say to her? Like you said to me, sorry about that. Life happens, right?
Yes,
And it's
indeed.
hard when your college kid FaceTimes you in the middle of a podcast recording, but we're all real here. She's going to do it again. So I'm going to have to keep hanging up. My apologies. I'm
Okay.
going to do the thing that any mom would do and tell her, I'm on the phone. Call you back. You would do the same thing. All right. So,
Indeed.
um, back to the question. Speak to, I guess it's easier to ask it this way. Speak to Christine from 2021 and give her hope that she will get not only get through this, but she will get to the point where she thrives because her strength is one of her greatest qualities.
Yeah. I have goosebumps when you're mentioning that because this is the power of coaching. I could sit on the side, and for me, it was so clear that it was a warrior came on the call, but I knew I could see the queen on you, and I could see the magician and the lover on you.
Mm,
And society has framed us that, hey, if you're a queen and a warrior, you better be quiet. There are some rules to follow. And
mm,
with that, there is a light that is dimmed down. There is a light that is not shining. And for me, it's an honor to be in a journey with clients, especially like you, because I could see the strength. I could see that queen and warrior. And I think
mm,
you saying speak to them, what I could tell them is, can you allow yourself to get to know yourself, to allow yourself to shine, to dare to see yourself for who you are and see your superpowers. And I believe in this journey for you, this version of you that we get to enjoy and I get to
mhm,
witness, I've been honored to witness, is because you allowed yourself to remove those labels that someone put you are too much. You remove that label. You are
mhm,
um, stop being seen. You remove that label. As we work together, you quite courageously removed labels. And
mm.
because you've removed these labels, you allow yourself to be who you are. That version of queen and a wizard and a lover and a warrior too. And my call for every woman, honestly, is dare to see and to get to know your superpowers and watch where those labels came. Because typically
Mm,
they were passed on from someone else who got some labels from someone else too.
mhm.
And once we remove the labels, we could see who we truly are and what we are capable of. In the end of the day, in this earth, we are all visitors. So we might as well enjoy the ride.
I love that. We have one wild and precious life, and we all have such unique contributions. And I distinctly remember that day though, because I was almost ready for you to reject me. In fact, I think I was almost challenging you to reject me because that was my self-protective mechanism. That was my survival mechanism. And so what you are saying is so profound because if we want to grow, we have to be willing to not only get to know ourselves, but get curious about how we got to where we are. And you know that one of my top values this year from Date with Destiny is curiosity, and it has radically changed my year. I cannot tell you how confident I am. My curiosity about almost everything right now has softened me. It has caused me and enabled me is a better word. It's enabled me to be more in flow, to have more open hands. And it's been a process over the years. It didn't happen automatically. Obviously, you know, there's been many things, multiple rounds of Unleash Her Power Within, intervention with Tony Robbins, you know, doing the work, showing up, being willing to be vulnerable. It all starts with being willing to grow and
Yeah.
and and being willing to open yourself up at first to yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
I love
And dare to get to know yourself, dare to be seen, dare to be seen. We are so conditioned not to be seen, not to be too much, not this, not that, the long line of rules. And once we realize, well, is that serving me? Is that serving me being the best partner, the best mom, the best coach, the best speaker?
that. Hmm.
And once you realize that, yeah, we get to rewrite the story. We get to
Wow.
rewrite that story.
I I'm telling you right now, just you saying that, you've said this to me for, you know, almost 4 full years. Like you get to rewrite your story. And you know, in the masterminds that I teach and the women that I coach, I I do it in large part because I've really embraced that empowering truth that our story is not the end. Like we have the pen. We have the pen. We get to, I like erasable pens, which is even more profound because we can erase and rewrite. Oh, no way. You seriously have the same pen? God, I love you. Just reason 865 why I love you. But it's so important as women that we not only recognize, but we believe that we have the power to create a compelling life. It all
Yes,
starts up here with what we choose to believe. And
yes,
when we choose to believe bigger for ourselves, it bigger starts to show up. Healed starts to show up. Better starts to show up. More fulfilling starts to show up. And so writing our story, rewriting our story, reinventing ourselves. I'm in the era of reimagination. I'm working with somebody and she's like, "This is the perfect time for you to reimagine Christine." And I thought, I kind of dig Christine. I mean, I really like her. And she said, "You're a phenomenal and there's
yeah,
always another
yes,
level,"
yeah.
right?
Absolutely. There is always another level. And oftentimes I have clients who come in the beginning and they go, okay, you're telling me that this is possible, but I honestly, I'm being honest. I don't believe it. Do
Mm,
you want me to fluff you? Do you want me? And I'm like, well, even if you go, but what if it's possible?
mhm,
What if it is possible? All of a sudden you have created a crack for a possibility.
mm.
You might not believe that compelling future yet, but if you go, but what if it's possible? That's enough to catch momentum. And once you do that, you start to come one obstacle, another one, and you start to gain that faith. And as you gain the faith, you gain that certainty in the story and possibilities, and you get to create a new life. And it doesn't mean it's always Wonderland, right? But it
Mm.
is beyond the wildest dream. It is
Absolutely.
beyond the wildest dream.
Do you remember that moment? That moment when we were at Date with Destiny in December of 22 and you heard Tony Robbins call my name. Do you remember that?
Of course.
And it's something that I didn't ask for. I wasn't looking for, but it was beyond my wildest dreams. And it doesn't have to be like that kind of crazy mountaintop experience. But I know, or I suspect as a coach, you were just like, this is the next level, right?
Totally. So let me bring you for one moment there. You might not have imagined that he would call your name. And yet I remember very vividly you preparing for UPW for Date with Destiny. You said, Besa, I'm gonna play full out. You even had the background play full out.
I did.
Playful out. And this comes destiny. Tony says we have a normal, ordinary life. It's not what we think it's possible, but we have some order in our life. We take some action. It's absolutely chaos. And we've addressed this together.
Mhm.
And in chaos, people say, this is not for me. And they snap back. And
Right.
if you are a daring soul and you know you've showed up like this, you take action. And the actions are not straight line. They are good and bad in a mix. But you take action and action and action. And the fourth phase is divine intervention or luck or destiny.
Hmm.
So you might have said, yes, I did not imagine in my wildest dream to have this intervention with Tony. And yet you had the ordinary, you took action, which led to chaos, which for all of us during growth leads to some chaos,
Mm-hmm.
and then some action. And then people think it's luck, but is it really? Of course it is. The more we show up, the more we take action, the more destiny kind of seems to stay really next to us. And then
Yes.
things that we didn't even think it's possible happen. And in that case, it was your one-on-one with Tony.
What was so, it's so powerful that you'd say that because it reminds me of when Tony teaches, about change and he talks about there's an element that we can't control, but it's called grace. And it's obviously grace is what grace is. And when we take action, one action after the other, just take the next right step, take the next right step. Oh, you got to go back. Okay, well, let's pivot. Let's take the next right step. It's about the way I envision it and the way, I think it's unfolded in our coaching is it's like you're plowing the field, right? You're plowing the field.
Correct.
And I'm a farm girl here. So you're plowing the field and then
Yes.
you're turning under the old because that's what you do when you plow the field. You turn under the previous growth that has now died off.
Yes.
You turn it under and then you fertilize it and then you plant and then you tend to it. And you're prepared. I feel like growth is like preparing a field, and you can't always, envision all of the ways that things happen. But if you don't start by plowing under the old and doing all those other steps, then you can't expect growth and achievement and success and expansion and abundance to arrive.
Yeah, and I love this metaphor so much, Christine, because when you putting the seeds, and we continue that metaphor, not every seed comes to life.
Right.
And every seed is not the same. You have bamboo seeds, which takes 8, 9 years, and you have a bean seed, it takes 2 weeks, and you'll see the fruits of it.
Hmm.
So trusting the process and trusting that divine intervention. And the more we get to see it, the more gratitude we put into it, the more it seems to come because we believe the faith increases and you take more action, which leads to you believing to plant more seeds,
Right.
which ultimately it becomes, now we call it luck. But actually it's step after step after step, that messy part, that
Hmm.
pretty part, that patience part, that loving part, and nurturing, even though you don't see no result, you're just nurturing, go back, nurture those seeds
Yes.
until actually you become this new identity that allows a whole new life.
I love that. And it just goes back to what you said just a few questions ago, where you said, if you allow yourself to believe, what if it's possible? Then you crack open. How did you say that? You crack open the,
Yeah,
how
the
did you say?
possibility,
You crack
right?
open the
You create,
possibility and then momentum.
yes, you create a possibility to start the momentum. Are you a full believer it's possible? Yeah, probably not. But yet there is a crack. There's a
Mhm.
crack for you to take action. There's a crack for you to move forward. And it's just a moment. And if you don't take action right in that moment, you have another closing.
Yes.
And just the doubt, it's enough to catch that momentum
I love that. I love.
until you get to live that identity. You don't question it anymore.
So, as we sit here today, you are living out the identity of master coach. How does that feel?
Uh, it's an adventure in the sense, I feel very, very honored to be in this space, obviously, because I have clients who trust me to be in their close circle. And it's quite a huge honor. So, master coaching is just the next level, and there is a next level always. But for me, it's quite an honor to see how beautiful to live a life with new possibilities. So, yeah, this is great until there's another identity that will create along the way, you know, and it's just part of the journey. And it's not about a destination. Now master coach, yay, great. And it's really a journey. What is next? What is next that you'll create?
And that's what we talk about a lot, right? You and I use the word and a lot. We've gotten rid
Yes,
of but from our language, all right?
no
We
but.
don't use buts. We don't talk about butts unless we're talking about our actual butts. We use and when I talk to women about creating their identity and working through life transitions, as you know, I'm getting ready. I've got, as we're recording this, 8 days, and then I'm a full on empty nester, having launched my last two babies, and I have a choice. I have a choice. Yes, grief will need to happen because that's a natural and congruent with my situation. And I have a choice. I can spend time, yearning for what was, which that's That's one option.
Yeah.
Or I can, sit in the grief of what is and just sit in the suck. That's another option. And a third option, which is where I'm going, and this is where I'm going. This is actually kind of exciting. It's kind of exciting because I think I can hold both. Well, no, I know I can hold both. I can hold the grief that is necessary, and
Yes.
I can get so excited about what's next because I've got the infinite state shift. I've got the triad. I've got the teaching. I've got the coaching. I've got the support. I've got the community. I've got the passion. I've got the programs. So I'm speaking to that woman out there who hasn't taken these actions, who hasn't done the investment, who hasn't spent the years of growth that I have under your tutelage. And I am so grateful. If you could speak to that woman who is listening to us and going, oh, well, that's great for you. You've done all this work, but here I'm sitting, I'm sending my last kid off to college. I have no idea who I am, and I don't know where to start. What are one, two, three things you could tell this beautiful soul so that she can just start moving forward?
Yeah. Um, so we all think a star is beautiful, right? And it looks beautiful, especially in the dark night, it looks gorgeous. But if we go close by and like in the end, it's just a piece of rock.
Hmm.
So just like in a star, you could find good and bad. In us, we could find good and bad. So we could show up with criticism about who we are, how we look, where we are in our journey, and judge the heck out of it.
Hmm.
That is one choice. Or you could show up with curiosity. And like you said, grief is absolutely normal. Actually, grief is beautiful because it means you lost something that, or perceived as loss. You know, they're gonna visit you and come and mess up the house and all of that.
I expect that.
Exactly. So grief is just an indicator, a messenger. Every emotion is a messenger. But if we show up with curiosity, versus criticism of where we are. What are we doing? What have we not achieved? What have we not accomplished? And we show up with curiosity, but what is possible? And if I really dare to invest in myself, how would my life look like? Because I remember when I invested on the first coach, I was like, whoa, ouch, really, is this worth it? Now I can't imagine my life without my coach. And yet at the time, I wasn't used to invest in myself. So if I have a message for women all over the world that listen to your podcast, is like dare to invest in yourself, whether that's buying a book or going in a course or daring to go for a coach or going for the big leap of faith, like as you did, go for a master coach. But no matter what you do, like show up with curiosity for your life and what is it that you can create if you dare to remove all those labels and show up with curiosity. What is it that you could create?
It's about asking questions. Tony talks so much about the power of questions. And, when you're dealing with somebody difficult, my mentor, Lauren Lahab, always says, ask yourself, maybe there's something I don't know, or is there something I don't know? There's just so much power in questions, which is why I believe that my value of curiosity this year has taken my life to a new level. It's allowed me to connect with my neighbor in the backyard that's lived there for 3 years. We've barely spoken, and now we're going out for margaritas and texting good morning. Why did that happen? Because I got curiosity and I asked her about herself, and I was willing to be uncomfortable. So, just piggybacking off what you said is what is one action you can take that's a little bit uncomfortable, but would maybe satisfy some curiosity? Is it joining a gym? Is it talking to the neighbor in the backyard? Is it investigating going to unleash the power within in October? You can do it virtually from your home. There's a little plug. What is that one thing? It doesn't have to be massive. It can be those small hinges that swing those big doors. And so, listening to this incredible woman, what I want you to take away from it, and my friend, because she is so much more than my coach. She is my friend. She is one of my
Totally,
top
I'm a friend.
people. And I'm so grateful because getting in relationship with somebody who sees in you what you're not yet able to see in yourself, that's huge. So is there somebody in your life that It's right there in front of you, but you maybe haven't acknowledged just how important they are if you just invested a little bit, if you picked up the phone, made a call, invited them out for coffee. What is it? Because it isn't just about hiring a coach. It's about valuing, going back to what you said at the very beginning of our talk. It's about valuing your life so much that it matters that you're here, that it
Yeah.
matters that you don't get breast cancer, that it matters that you're healthy because your life matters.
Yeah. And daring to show up for yourself.
Absolutely.
And nobody could tell you, obviously I'm a biased. I'll say, get a coach, go to Tony Robbins events. And we want that because we know it creates a change. And ultimately, it's about ask yourself, what has been the whisper that I've heard? And I know
Mhm.
maybe I'm not fully certain, but I've heard the whisper that I wanted to do or I've been wanting to do, but I've been holding myself back. Dare to do that action.
Yes,
Dare
listen
to
to the
go for
whisper.
what you've been holding yourself back. Because passion is never coming like a scream. It's always a whisper. It's like, and it sounds like so uncertain, but deep,
Yes.
deep inside, there is a spark.
Hmm.
So I'd invite them to go for that spark, whatever that spark is. It might seem like a little spark, but you just turning the wheel to go toward the destiny that you meant to create for your life.
I love it. I love it. All right, Bess, I've got one final question for you, my friend. I don't want our interview to end. I want it to just keep going. But I have one final question for you, and you can answer it in whatever way you want. It can be funny, it can be serious, it can be deep, or it can just be frivolous. But if I asked you without thinking, because we're not going to use our thoughts, we're just going to use our whatever, what is saving your beautiful life right now?
Oh, faith.
You didn't even hesitate.
Not at all.
Beautiful. And I would
Faith.
imagine that there are many, many women in this audience that can relate to that. Faith, whatever that faith is in, that is your grounding force. I've known that about you from the very beginning. I just love you so much.
I love you too. Thank you so much, Christine. It was so much fun. It
Uh,
has been an honor, and I appreciate it very much.
Before we go, where can people find you and follow you?
Well, they could find me at besa.martini at tonyrobbins.com or Tony Robbins website. So looking forward to see you maybe in events, maybe in coaching. I don't know where, but looking forward to for our roads to cross in some way or another.
Amazing. And I cannot wait to see you in real life again soon.
Indeed. Yes, me
Amazing.
too. Me
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.